This is the most heavily guarded prison in Mexico. Tall mesh fences, huge watchtowers. The area is a no-fly zone. This prison is considered to be unescapable.
Man, see now look.
Yet today,
If they ever take me to prison, the first day I get in, I'm getting a spoon. I'm gonna just start going at the floor, the walls. I'm not staying.
someone will escape.
I'm not staying.
This someone happens to be the world's most powerful drug lord, El Chapo. He won't use any violence, nor will he climb over the fence. All he will do is walk into his shower and disappear.
See? Now look,
This is the story of how
that's exactly what he did, man. Look, he was gathering up them prison spoons every day. You know, he was eating his peas and gravy, and then he was, he would take his spoon, go in that shower and get the digging. I'm
El
telling you.
Chapo became one of the most successful drug dealers in the history of mankind. How he was hunted by authorities for decades, and how he escaped them over and over again. And it's the story of how an interview with a Hollywood actor and a failing car engine finally brought him down.
Man, she right out. Good for the money. El Señor de la Montana. 1957, God.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully
Not El
working
Chapo,
app
man.
without knowing how to
El
code.
Chapo.
This is based
Joaquin Archivado Guzman Loera was born on April 4th, 1957, in a poor family in a poor neighborhood, the village La Tuna in Mexico's Sierra Madre Mountains. Boys here don't grow up wishing to be astronauts, firefighters, or doctors. They want to become drug traffickers. It's a way to make money, and money is a way out. People will call Guzman El Chapo because of his height. He doesn't grow taller than 1.67 meters. El Chapo
Short ass.
drops out of school
That's how he was
early.
able to escape.
He doesn't even
Figure that
finish
little
elementary
ass-
school. Instead, he spends his time working on the marijuana and poppy fields, a family tradition. From a young age, El Chapo is extremely ambitious. He makes friends with big names in the local drug scene, determined to rise through the ranks of Mexican organized crime.
Short ass. You see how
First, he
tall
becomes
he
a
is? Look at
so-called
this.
problem solver. Whenever a truckload of drug shipment misses schedule, El Chapo eliminates the person responsible.
Damn. See them fucked up over
His
there, man.
uncompromising attitude makes him trustworthy,
Whoa,
and he
bro.
grows close to the kingpin of the Guadalajara cartel. When the boss is arrested, El Chapo keeps the business running, ultimately setting up his own organization with other traffickers, the Sinaloa cartel.
Nah, see, I heard
He
that.
organizes planes, trucks, and rail cars to deliver cocaine and heroin into the United States, and he even builds border-crossing tunnels, a skill that will come in handy many years later.
This is where they got that skill from. They unlocked that shit from El Chapo.
In those early years, one incident really puts El Chapo on the map. This is Juan Jesus Posadas. He's the Archbishop of Guadalajara and a cardinal, one of the highest ranks in the church. Posadas is a popular man. He advocates for the poor and publicly condemns drug trade. Right now, he's on his way to the airport.
We got a good man.
to meet
We got
the
a good
ambassador of the
Samaritan.
Vatican. At the same time, El Chapo and his bodyguards pull into the parking lot. They are here to catch a flight to the beach resort town of Puerto Vallarta, one of El Chapo's favorite places to party. We don't know
Man,
exactly
look,
what
bruh,
happened in this parking lot
You
now.
can't be partying, my nigga. Listen, bro, you on top of the drug trade, man. You cannot be putting yourself out there like that. But I guess it didn't matter anyway, because it was evading the police for decades.
Next. One thing we know for sure, though, the cardinal will not survive.
Damn. Yo, RIP to the Cardinal, bro. He was a good man, good civilian, and bro, look, that got popped, man.
This is the official version. These brothers run a drug trafficking operation out of Tijuana. They are at war with El Chapo and his cartel. They fight over drug running territory, and somehow they get wind that El Chapo is going to be at the airport that day. So one of the brothers and a group of gunmen rush there to ambush him. When they spot him and his bodyguards, they step out of their cars and open fire. El Chapo and his men run toward the terminal
Man,
building
look, 3 families and they daughters just got killed. You see that? You see how many cars in between these? Look at this.
and open fire.
They're dead. They're dead. They're dead. It's a family of 4. They're dead. Yep, they're dead too. Ice cream truck. This dead. Damn. Wow. That's tragic as fuck.
El Chapo and his men run toward the terminal building, taking cover behind cars in the lot.
Everybody just died, man.
It's raining bullets, but somehow they manage to escape without getting hit. The failed assassination leaves
See?
7 people dead.
You see what I'm saying? I knew it. Look, this is the ice cream truck right here. This is grandma and this is grandpa, His grandma, they was running an ice cream truck. You know, they was trying to, it be hot out there. So they was trying to get people ice cream. And here come these murdering them for no reason. Yo, justice, bro. Holy
dead. Among them, the cardinal. This is the version of events that authorities will publicly report. Posadas was caught in the crossfire. Wrong time, wrong place. But there are doubts about this story. His death doesn't appear like a coincidence. Forensic experts will later say it's likely that the gunman killed the cardinal deliberately. He was shot 14 times.
Dang! Oh, shoot. My bad! My bad! My bad! My bad! My bad! Oops!
Later, the officials suggest that the gunman had mistaken the cars. El Chapo regularly drives a white Mercury Grand Marquis, the same model Posadas sat in that day. The gunman thought it's El Chapo's car and opened fire. But the cardinal wore his robe when he was shot. He was not dressed at all like a drug lord. If the gunman killed him at a close range, how could they have confused him with El Chapo?
No, they didn't confuse
Years
him.
later, the successor of Posadas will make a serious accusation.
2016.
He claims the murder of the cardinal was a crime of the state.
Se trató de un crimen de Estado, perpetrado.
It was a state crime perpetrated by federal justice police. That is, by the police of the PTO.
He believes the police carried out the killing for the Mexican government. Posadas had accused government officials of having ties to these cartels.
Wow.
Up to this day, it remains a mystery.
Silence this. Wow. See, now I'm haunting these from the grave forever.
What really happened in 1993 at Guadalajara Airport? This is El Chapo's wife, his sons, and one of his closest partners. Just 2 months ago,
Bald head. What the f?
Chapo was captured and brought to Altiplano Maximum Security Prison. Now the group is working on a plan to get him out. They begin by acquiring an old property 1 kilometer away from the prison. Next, they buy an old warehouse nearby. Here they store weapons in an armored pickup truck. Then they hire workers for one very specific job.
Yo, you gotta be really in-depth in the plan to buy a warehouse miles away from the prison just to start preparing to break this out.
Digging a sophisticated tunnel.
Oh man, so did the people, they probably dug the tunnel, most of the tunnel for him, and then El Chapo only had to dig through a shower and meet him like at the alright.
Back in 1993, the shootout at Guadalajara Airport, the Mexican government placed a bounty on El Chapo. It took just 2 weeks until he was found and arrested.
Wow.
He denies being responsible for the death of the cardinal.
Hey, you see how like as soon as they they placed that bounty on him, he was gone, he was out of there?
Insists that he was the supposed target of the shootout. Ultimately, the authorities believe him. They don't charge him for homicide, just for drug trafficking. He is sentenced to 20 years in a Mexican prison, but he continues to run the Sinaloa cartel from behind bars. Through his lawyers, he passes orders to his closest allies. He doesn't need to be in the room to pull strings. His empire runs on whispered instructions and tightly coordinated moves. Sometimes real power is remote. With AnyDesk, you can access any desktop.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Holy shit. I never got, like, that was a good one. Fuck, bruh. I did not see that shit coming. Hold on, wait. Let me see this method.
And tightly coordinated moves. Sometimes real power is remote.
Oh my god, you see how, bro, that shit hard. Hold on, you see how you was standing on there?
Sometimes real power is remote.
Into the
With
ad.
AnyDesk, you can access.
That's man, yo, you damn near made me watch your ad. That's so good.
And while keeping data private.
Nah, yeah, I love
Go to
this.
anydesk.com/AnyDesk.
Thank you.
In 2001, El Chapo has enough of life in prison. Also, the Mexican Supreme Court just approved a law that makes it easier to extradite criminals like him to the US. Time to get out. The official version of his first prison escape is spectacular. He supposedly bribes a guard who helps him climb into a laundry cart. The guard then pushes the cart out of the cell, down the hallway.
Is this where that one game, A Way Out, bro, Way Out. Yeah, this where A Way Out got that from. This happens in that game.
And through an unguarded gate to the parking lot. El Chapo jumps out and climbs into the trunk of a car. The guard gets in and drives to the outer prison gate. After a quick search, the car is waved through. Nobody checks the trunk.
Nigga, you better leave and search the goddamn car. Yo, bro, if you're gonna hide some shit in the car or a person, where do you think they gonna be at? Most likely the trunk. Dumb nigga. Get fired, this dude.
But again, that's just the official story. Several authors and journalists don't buy it.
They probably just paid him.
One argues that the prison's checkpoints were equipped with heat and motion sensors, capable of detecting any living creature, even a cat. That means the alarms would have gone off. Instead,
They
the
probably paid him
journalists
more.
suggest that El Chapo may have left the prison dressed in a police uniform, escorted by other corrupt officers. One way or another, systemic corruption likely played a role, and El Chapo put his newly won freedom to use.
That's his first escape. El enemigo público.
In the following years, the Mexican cartel landscape changes dramatically. In 2002, the leader of the Tijuana cartel is killed in a shootout with police.
Wow.
One of the brothers who had supposedly tried to assassinate El Chapo
This
at the
video
airport.
well made.
A year later, the leader of the Gulf cartel was arrested. Two major cartels are now without leadership. El Chapo sees an opportunity. He pushes into Tijuana and Gulf territory, triggering brutal fighting. Nuevo Laredo, an area along the US-Mexican border, practically turns into a war zone. Former forces of the Mexican army begin working for El Chapo. They clash with what's left of the Gulf cartel.
Bro, he got the ex-Mexican army on his side? Yo, bro, this nigga cannot be stopped. They can't stop him. Matter of fact, yo, he probably still operating to this day.
His core fighters were partly trained by the US.
Wow, he in prison
Early
still.
on, the violence results in more than 1,000 deaths, many of them civilians. And that's only the beginning. In 2006, Felipe Calderón becomes Mexico's new president. Determined to crack down on organized crime, he declares war on the cartels and deploys the military. The violence escalates dramatically. Between 2007 and 2014, over 160,000 people died in the course of the war on drugs in Mexico.
Hold on, so damn, bro, each cop or each
in the course of the war on
each gravestone represents 100 deaths. Ooh,
drugs in Mexico.
100,000.
In these years of bloodshed, El Chapo rises. He becomes the world's most wanted criminal, transforming the Sinaloa cartel into one of the most powerful criminal organizations in history. It becomes the top supplier of drugs to the United States: cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and fentanyl. El Chapo's cartel operates in 50 countries and generates billions of dollars in profits each year. In turn, El Chapo becomes extremely wealthy, eventually making Forbes' list of the world's billionaires. No wonder it's hard to keep him locked up. El Chapo's rescue commando needs to know the exact location of his prison cell, so they smuggle a GPS watch into his prison cell, disguised as a food item. Now the
Yo,
workers
bro, like,
know
yeah,
what
what can you really do to keep a nigga in jail who got the cops on his side? It's over. It's over. The cops is on his side. Oh, yo, bro. Money pays for anything, bro. Money pays for anything.
they need to dig. Over the span of a year, they dig a sophisticated tunnel, a carefully planned complex construction costing approximately $5 million to make. The tunnel is 1.5 kilometers long. Over the span of a year, they dig a sophisticated tunnel, a carefully planned complex construction costing approximately $5 million to make. The tunnel is 1.5 kilometers
$5
long.
million? Nigga, that ain't still Chapo, man.
1.70 meters high.
$5 million.
It is reinforced by a wooden frame. There are lights and even a ventilation system. Digging a tunnel creates a lot of dirt.
Damn, even this
So
nigga
the
even
workers
got luxury tunnels. Bro, they got lights in this bitch, AC, like, bruh.
System with a motorcycle adapted to
A
it
motorcycle?
to move the dirt out of the tunnel. The construction is also supposed to function as an escape vehicle later on. But how did El Chapo end up in El
This nigga got a
Altiplano
luxury
in the first
escape
place?
tunnel. Agent Hogan.
Andrew Hogan is an agent with the Drug Enforcement Agency. He wants to take down the most powerful drug lord on Earth, perhaps in history. Currently, he's looking for allies, but he soon discovers
Hell nah. See, now
somehow
look, he
there
got too many connections, bro. I'd be scared this nigga gonna assassinate me. I'm good.
is no task
Hey, bro,
force,
let him run free.
no team,
Fuck that.
not even a single federal agent assigned to the job of bringing El Chapo to justice. So he takes a Spanish class and prepares to move to Mexico. Meanwhile, one of Andrew's colleagues in the US manages to get the pin to El Chapo's BlackBerry, thanks to someone in his inner circle. He tracks down his phone to the holiday resort Cabo San Lucas. The colleague immediately calls Andrew. They're excited, and so they pass the information to the officials in Mexico. The DEA and Mexican police quickly head down to the place where El Chapo is supposedly hiding, but he's nowhere to be found.
Dumbass.
Next, they narrow down El Chapo's phone signal to one of 3 mansions near the resort Cabo San Lucas.
He ain't even there.
This time, it's a hit. He's there. But before the forces arrive, El Chapo just escapes through the back door. Somehow he makes it to an airstrip without being caught, and is flown to
Okay, now see, now look. Now the cops is just dumb. The cops is stupid. Alright. Y'all telling me y'all just let this nigga walk out the back door? He deserved this.
To safety.
And run all the way to an airstrip on foot? Where's the car? Did he get in the car?
El Chapo always seems to be one step ahead. He constantly changes his SIM cards and phones and simply outsmarts the authorities. One DEA agent supposedly said the Mexicans couldn't catch El Chapo if he was standing at the fucking Starbucks across the street from the embassy.
Yeah,
but Andrew Hogan doesn't give up. In May 2012,
like that probably got, look man, all you gotta do, you know, he run back inside the Starbucks, get on the phone right quick. It's a helicopter in 5 minutes to his location. I can't do nothing about this.
He moves to Mexico City with his family and takes over the Sinaloa case.
And that big got invisible
In the
cloak.
months that follow, he and his team begin intercepting members of El Chapo's inner circle. Bit by bit, they uncover the cartel's complex communication system, how often numbers are changed, possible code names, and GPS locations. Slowly, a picture begins to emerge. One day, El Chapo seemingly wants to meet an underling in person, and he sends one of his chauffeurs to pick him up. Hogan tracks his phone. The chauffeur finally arrives at a place in Culiacan. The signal
1811, Constituyente Emilio Garcia Colon, Sinaloa.
leads to a group of 5 houses. Hogan organizes a capture operation with dozens of Mexican Marines, helicopters, and trucks, and he joins the mission himself. They surround the property and storm inside.
Yeah, at least they fucking surrounded it this time, man. Last time, they didn't even check the back door.
But once again, El Chapo is gone.
Damn, he's gone already?
Instead, they find a strangely placed bathtub covering the entrance to a tunnel that leads into the sewers of Culiacan.
Oh, bro.
But this time, the Marines manage to stay on El Chapo's tail. 3 days later, they find out that one of his men had driven him to the coastal town of Mazatlan, to a hotel.
Bro, he's living on the run.
Marines enter
I'm moving to Guatemala. I'm done. I'm not, like, nah.
4th floor of the hotel. They storm into room 401, heading straight for the bedroom. El Chapo is with his family. He barricades himself in the bathroom with an assault rifle.
And then what El Chapo did next was he actually just removed his toilet and then he crawled through the sewers and escaped the police yet again. I'm what, bro? He's gonna get out of this.
His wife pleads with the soldiers not to harm their daughters.
Watch, bro.
Shortly after El Chapo surrenders, they got him.
Shit. But actually, a dirty cop was actually the one who drove him in the car. So they actually drove in the opposite direction and he ended up escaping again.
Andrew Hogan's job is done now. He caught the most wanted man on the planet, and he worries for the safety of his family who moved to Mexico with him. So they board a plane back to the US. Meanwhile, El Chapo goes to Altiplano. The US is pushing hard for his extradition.
Oh, he's going out the
This would likely be his doom, the end of his reign. Time for another tunnel.
Otra fuga más.
The rescue team and the workers manage to locate the exact spot of El Chapo's cell shower. They build a 10-meter vertical passageway that connects the tunnels to the cell, including a ladder. All this digging and drilling creates a lot of noise. Several inmates are complaining, but the guards ignore them. El Chapo's rescue team manages to complete the 5 million tunnel directly into his prison cell without anyone interfering. All that's left is breaking through the cell floor, and thus comes the day. El Chapo sits on his bed. A surveillance camera monitors him closely. The camera also records audio. You can hear television. The volume is turned up. But you also hear loud banging noises. Probably someone is breaking through the cell floor. Next, El Chapo begins to pace up and down in his cell. After some time, he walks to his shower stall, bends over, and goes back to his bed. He removes his shoes, sits for a second. Then he walks behind the shower wall and simply disappears.
Bro.
He squeezes through the hole in the ground. It's just 50 by 50 centimeters wide. 1 meter below, he finds footing on a ladder. He climbs down 10 meters into the ground until he reaches the tunnel. Someone is already waiting for him, likely his wife's brother. The rescuer sits on the motorcycle on rails. El Chapo climbs on behind him. Together, they make the 1.5 kilometer ride to the other end of the tunnel. When they arrive, El Chapo and his companion climb up a small ladder through the exit shaft. They end up in an unfinished house, covered with construction material. An ATV is parked outside. They drive a short distance to a warehouse and switch to an SUV. Then they drive for 2 hours.
Bro, you would think at this point, bro, he's getting an obsidian cell. Like, yo, he's done this shit more than one time already, bro. Yeah.
A plane is already waiting. They board it and fly to Sinaloa. 2 months later, one of El Chapo's sons posts a tweet. "I'm doing fine here. You already know with whom." Attached is a photo, presumably with his father. The tweet is tagged with a location, Costa Rica.
I'm whooping my son's ass. Are you stupid, my? Or maybe he don't care.
Let's back up for a second. Some things about this spectacular escape just don't add up. There's video footage of guards watching their screens as El Chapo disappears, yet it takes them 20 minutes to check his cell. They even wait a few more minutes before they finally enter and check the escape hole. Also, it seems unlikely that building such a tunnel truly went unnoticed, after all inmates actively complained about the drilling noise. A large majority of Mexicans believe the escape was an inside job.
Obviously.
Shortly after El Chapo's second prison escape, the prison's warden and 2 other officials were fired. Next, 4 Mexican officials were charged. 2 were members of Mexico's Secret Service, based at the prison. The other 2 were guards who sat in the control room, monitoring El Chapo's cell. The accusation is that they bought El Chapo valuable time by not raising the alarm once the drug lord was gone. And El Chapo, he again becomes one of the most wanted criminals on Earth. The pressure to finally bring him to justice is higher than ever. The hunt is on.
$5 million, you lose your life. El Chapo man gonna come get you.
Then El Chapo makes a crazy move. He knows he's considered a legend in Mexico, and he wants even more fame. A movie about his life on the big screen. Sean Penn is already involved in a production about him, along with Mexican actress Kate del Castillo. Castillo manages to contact El Chapo and his associates. Finally, El Chapo agrees to meet her and Sean Penn in person to talk about the movie, while technically he's on the run. This is a photo of the meetup.
Man, that's crazy.
Sean Penn interviews El Chapo about his career as a drug lord.
He making movies. He on the run that escaped prison and he making movies. This nigga, he can't, can't stop him.
A story later published by the Rolling Stone. In it, Penn reveals that El Chapo's escape tunnel engineers have been flown to Germany for 3 months of extensive additional training, necessary to deal with the low-lying water table beneath the prison. It's a gripping read. Beneath his smile, there's a doubtlessness to his facial expression. A question comes to mind as I observe his face, both as he speaks as while he listens. What is it that removes all doubt from a man's eyes? Is it power, admirable clarity, or soullessness? But according to government sources, the interview is also a crucial factor for investigators to get closer to El Chapo. Apparently all the while they're monitoring Penn and Castillo's movements very closely. It's October 9th, 2015. Mexican special forces are closing in on him in the mountains of Sinaloa. After a while, they actually spot him. He's only got 1 bodyguard with him. This is their moment. They take off after them, chasing them through the terrain. As they get nearer, El Chapo falls off a cliff. His bodyguard finds him and carries him to the depths of the forest. The special forces lose sight of them and they escape. A catastrophic failure.
Bro, how are these so
But the authorities don't give up the hunt.
Bro,
in January
he just fell off a cliff and broke his leg and still escaped.
2016, they get another chance. The Marines manage to locate El Chapo once again in the coastal city of Los Mochis. The clue comes from a taco order placed from a white van. Witnesses say the driver is one of El Chapo's men. The Marines begin to surveil the car. It ultimately leads them to a safe house. A few hours later, the soldiers storm the place. Cartel gunmen try to hold them off. A gunfight breaks out. The Marines eventually push up to the 2nd floor, then the roof. But El Chapo is gone.
Bro.
True to his form, he and one of his gunmen fled through a hidden tunnel. Right now,
how many tunnels they got? Damn! Bro, they got tunnels everywhere. Bro, every place this go, they dig a tunnel where he at, man. They all, bro.
Now, they're climbing out of a drainage tunnel a short distance away, right across from a Walmart. El Chapo and his gunmen need to escape quickly. They steal a car, guns drawn, but after just driving a few blocks, the car breaks down. So they ditch it and lose valuable time. Then they take over another car and manage to get on the highway.
How your car break down?
But it's too late. Police finally arrest El Chapo, one of history's most powerful drug lords. He tells the officers, "You are all going to die." 40 of his assassins are supposedly on their way to free him. But he gets handed over to the Marines, and it's over.
It don't matter.
After a decade of hide and seek, escaping over and over again, in all likelihood protected by systemic corruption, El Chapo has finally been caught. Later that day, the Mexican president tweets, "Mission accomplished. We have him."
Yeah, got him. So what? He going, bro. Listen, another there's going a wrecking ball is about to come through your prison. Okay, he's getting out.
Soon after, El Chapo was extradited to the United States, the one thing he truly
shit.
feared. On July
They got
17,
a good prison over
2019,
here, though.
3 years after his second escape, he was sentenced to life in Colorado's Supermax prison. That's where he remains locked up to this day.
Damn.
The Sinaloa cartel and other Mexican cartels
His men ain't even here, though. That's the problem.
are as strong as ever, operating as undeterred global organizations. There's so much more to this story that we couldn't cover in this video, but apparently some video journalist obsessed with maps is about to pick it up very soon.
Oh, hi Fern. Love your stuff.
Good video, bro. That's really well made, bro.